Hey guys, my name's Chris. Recently, I had to choose between who goes to prison, my dad or my brother. But I'm 13 years old. How could I even make that choice? We lived a normal life, but when I was 10 years old, my mother died, and our family changed a lot. We mourned her for a very long time. Dad was falling apart and couldn't deal with her death, so he started drinking. And then everything went wrong. He was fired from his job and was barely making any money. And almost all the money he did make, he spent on alcohol. It was terrible when he got drunk. His mood was like a roller coaster. At first he would cry, then scream, and get angry. Then my brother Bruce took on the role of father in our family. He always protected and cared for me. For 3 years we struggled with misfortune, but things got better. We talked a lot with my dad, and he started drinking less. Bruce turned 18 and found a good paying job. We had hope for a normal future, but one night, everything got turned upside down. One day on a weekend, Dad got us a surprise. He had bought tickets to a baseball game. Hooray! We were going to spend the day like a normal family. Dad took us to the stadium and we watched the game. Bruce and I were so happy, but it couldn't have been that good. Dad ended up meeting his friends and left us to watch the game with them. We agreed to meet near the car in 2 hours. But when our game ended, our dad never came. We tried to call him, but he wouldn't answer. We stood by the car for over an hour, and he finally showed up. He could barely stand on his own 2 feet. Apparently, he had gotten drunk with his friends. It really pissed Bruce off and ruined his evening. He took Dad's keys and said he'd drive us himself. We got in the car and drove off, but Dad was aggressive. He kept telling Bruce how to drive, and it was really annoying him. They were fighting and yelling at each other. I didn't want to hear it, so I just closed my eyes and put my hands over my ears. But then it felt like the car jumped, and when I opened my eyes, the last thing I saw was the windshield breaking. When I woke up, I didn't know where I was. I raised my head and saw my brother. He was sitting next to me, covered in scratches and bruises. I was immediately frightened, but he calmed me down. He said that everything was fine. We had been in an accident, but we were lucky because we were almost unharmed. I exhaled. Then I asked where our dad was. Bruce said he was fine, he's just in the other room. But then I remembered their fight and said, "We crashed because he distracted you, right?" This question made my brother think for a moment. Then he said, "Listen, Chris, the police came. They asked about the incident, and I told them that our father was driving, not me. Then my brother said that he might have had a problem with it, but that it would be better for us all if the police thought that my father was driving. Maybe he will be forced into rehab or something." There was something strange about this proposal, but I believed my brother and decided to support him. After this conversation, Bruce was relieved. He said we could go home in the morning and that I needed to sleep. But I couldn't sleep. I was worried I'd have to lie, and I tried to calm myself down. I wanted water, and I couldn't find it in my room, so I went out into the hallway. I have to say, hospital corridors at night look just like they do in horror movies, and you don't expect anything good from them. I kept looking for someone to ask for water, but there was no one around. I walked down the hall to the end, and when I turned the corner, I saw a little girl crying at the entrance to someone's room. I went to her to calm her down, but she wouldn't stop crying. I asked her what happened. She said that her dad was biking home from work and had got hit by a car, and now he's in a coma. I figured out that it was us right away. We were the ones that hit him. What's more, my brother was driving, and he's trying to hide it. This changed everything. It was not just an accident, this was a crime, and Bruce was trying to get our father set up. Yeah, he's a drunk, and my brother was only driving because of him, but he's not guilty. I ran back to the room and woke Bruce up. I started yelling, "Bruce, we didn't just have an accident, you hit a man! Dad is going to jail, do you understand? You have to confess everything!" I started arguing with my brother. He said, "You don't want me to go to jail. I know it's bad, but think about it. Who's going to take care of you? Dad?" Then I said that it didn't matter. A little girl was sitting in the hallway and had no idea whether her father would survive or not. And it was because of Bruce. It was a very difficult choice. One of my loved ones would be in prison, and I had to choose who it would be. And it's not a choice between right and wrong. But I had already made up my mind when I saw that girl. The truth can be unpleasant and painful, but I didn't want to make a deal with my conscience. So I had to find Dad and call the cops and tell them everything. When I went to the entrance, I saw Dad being led out by 2 policemen. I ran up to him and wanted to tell him everything, but my father stopped me. He asked the officers for a few minutes to talk to me, in private. He told me to keep it a secret that Bruce was driving. It turned out that Dad told the police he was driving, and that he hit the cyclist. I tried to stop him, but he made that decision on his own. It looks like he really felt guilty about it. He was taken away, so now it's just my brother and me. A few weeks later, we were allowed to see our dad. He apologized to us for the past 3 years. He said he lied to the police because it would be better for both of us, and Bruce can really take care of me. Later, we found out that the cyclist had started to recover and will be fine. It does not absolve us of guilt, but I am very happy that this little girl will have her father back. Then there was a trial and Dad went to prison. It's sad, but he gave us a chance to move on with our lives. And we can't just lose it. We're both very grateful to our dad. I can't even imagine how my brother feels right now, but he's trying his best to justify Dad's sacrifice. And I learned an important lesson. The right choice is not always good or easy, and you have to do everything to make sure your loved ones are safe. What would you do in this situation? Would you give up your brother? Write in the comments below, and be sure to share this video with your friends.